Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about the film The Signal. Anytime I've read about this movie, it's about how the director of this film, William Eubank, how this shows aspirations of making bigger science fiction films. And a lot of big-time science fiction directors now made a smaller science fiction film that was more focused on the story and caused a sensation at festivals, and then eventually it got a nice release because it was such a good movie. Monsters by Gareth Edwards is probably the most recent example of someone who directed a small movie like Monsters and then was given a film like Godzilla and now is a major director. Same with like even Steven Spielberg when he made Duel. Duel was such a good TV movie they actually released it in theaters in Europe and had it play many festivals, and it's because of how good the movie is. They talk about the director. The Signal wants to be that. It wants to be that very badly, but it only kind of succeeds on the technical level. The plot and the script of this film are very cliched. There are a million films you've seen before, and there's nothing about it that's unique. And it frankly doesn't represent anything. It's basically a demo reel that this director is sending to the studio, showing him that yes, I want to be a big budget blockbuster director. And it's about as meaningful as a demo reel that you would send to someone looking for job prospects. Nick and Jonah, who are driving with Nick's girlfriend Haley, who are MIT students who were hacked by this hacker named Nomad, have an obsession over him, and while they're driving Haley to California, decide they're going to find where this guy Nomad is and confront him because he almost got them in a major trouble at MIT. Now, why you'd want to confront someone from the internet, I don't know. It reminds me of that scene from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back at the end where they attack all the people who are leaving negative comments on them, and that sequence was actually a little more interesting. This makes no sense because I've never heard of something like that, but it basically drives the film, and when they get to that location they are suddenly, looks like, abducted, and then they wake up in a government compound in separate rooms and being questioned by the government on what happened to them, and they have no idea what happened as they try to escape and figure out what exactly is going on. This film is very much a style movie, and almost in the tradition of the amazing J.J. Abrams theory of the magic box, which he talked about in his TED Talk, where it's all about the mystery, but it's not really about character, it's not really about story, it's almost like more about a bullshit mystery that means nothing than actually telling a story. And The Signal does that, but it doesn't even have fun with that. It's not a film that wraps me up in its special effects and all its cool camera angles, so I don't care. I think it would kind of like to be, but it just uses so many cliched plots that I pretty much could guess everything that was going to happen, and anything I didn't, when it was revealed, it was so stupid and obvious. It was just kind of like I didn't even care how I got there at that point, and I had to have seen all that. The acting's not particularly great either, frankly. You get these kids who look like good-looking actors who are kind of nerded up, but they're not really that convincing and they're not really that interesting. They're kind of bland characters that if you had an actor who could really come alive with that role, I think they might have been able to do something with it, but not these actors at all. It has three characters, but it's only focused on Nick, and Jonah and his girlfriend Haley are not really properly developed and seemingly forgot about, and the film has no problem with that because it's mainly focused on Nick, and you often wonder, like, why did they even have those other characters? What was even the point of them? And there isn't really a point. And when you eventually get to their stupid twist ending thing, it makes me kind of hate it more because it just doesn't leave me with this feeling of awe or feeling of a story with a twist ending that I'm supposed to go, oh my god, I can't believe this. It left me feeling really underwhelmed. You know, I know this director has worked as a second unit director and a cinematographer as well, and he's definitely, I guess, technically gifted, but in a way that's like really not that interesting to me. When he'd be moving from set to set, it was more done to be cool than to mean anything, and it wasn't even really that cool. It was kind of just like, oh, this looks neat, what's the point of it? And he kept shoving that imagery, and it wasn't really that interesting to begin with, and as he kept pushing more and more on you as an audience, I got more and more sick of it. It does feel like a lot of different movies I've seen before. There's one thing when you talk about genre and influence and genre trappings and things all genres have, but then you get a film that's just so uninspired. It just kind of has to use these tropes and these ideas because he doesn't know what else to do. He obviously likes sci-fi, but I don't think he's a director that really respects it. He thinks it's cool. He's not interested in the storytelling elements of science fiction. He's more interested in blowing me away, and he doesn't really do that very well. Certainly it's a well shot film, and you could probably direct a good looking, at least, science fiction film. And this film was not shot by him, it's shot by David Lanzenberg. The cinematography is actually really good. He's really good at framing. There's often pretty great shots in it, but after a while it doesn't really mean that much because this film doesn't really seem to mean anything. It's not trying to say anything. There's no real mood to it. It switches tone and switches the kind of movie it is several times. It just feels like somebody who likes the pizzazz of these kind of movies but never really understood what a good science fiction film is. William Eubank, there's no doubt he could probably direct a really good commercial. In a way, this film looks like a commercial. In fact, I think its main influence isn't really movies, it's trailers. A film full of kind of almost trailer cinematography and ideas that look like they're from a trailer in slow-mo. It was good looking, but I didn't think there were even great sequences, come to think of it. I guess there is promise in here, but not promise where I really want to see his next movie. When I saw Monsters, I wanted to see Gareth Edwards' next movie because it was good. I don't want to see William Eubank's next movie. Technically, he's a gifted director. He can do things with the cinematography and the editing that look great, and I think he could really make a B movie pop, but he's not good at really story or character or with actors. And if he can do that, he would be the kind of director that could make a film and then go on to do something like Godzilla, like Gareth Edwards, and like the directors who make these small sci-fi films and then get to do these bigger sci-fi films. And he's not there yet. He learned the technical side very well, but he doesn't understand what makes a good story. And when I think of a good science fiction director, I think of a good storyteller. I'm not saying you shouldn't have all the cinematography and the editing and great color correction and everything like that, but he just doesn't seem to really get what really makes a great sci-fi movie. He just knows how to make a good sci-fi movie look good. And, you know, hey, that's part of it. In a way, it's like that's why I'm not totally panning this movie, which I didn't like at all. It's just because I kind of feel like, yeah, there's just kind of something in there. I'm not like blown away by it. I don't really want to see something by him again. But if someone was like, yeah, he made a movie that's actually good, I would be interested in that movie. But if he's just making the same kind of thing and it's kind of this bland kind of sci-fi film of a film I've seen 1,000,001 times, it doesn't even feel like how a genre director would do it. It feels like someone who's almost doesn't really get the genre and barely pays attention and goes on their cell phone while the movies are on and then wrote a movie and goes, yeah, people would like this. I don't know, there's a twist, aliens or whatever. It just isn't as well thought out as he clearly did with the cinematography and the shots and his storyboards. And it looks like a reel. It looks like a demo reel he sent out to say, hey, I'm ready to direct big films. And I kind of hope they don't let him, because I think it kind of worked in reverse, where I'm like, yeah, you need a little more time. You need to have your great little movie first. And I hope they don't, because this just looks like another big director I would hate, and then he goes into big movies that I would eventually probably dislike as well, that would just look good and wouldn't have good story. It wouldn't be about character. I don't need another director like that. And that's kind of what Signal gives me. It gives me the demo reel of a director who, if he did become bigger, I wouldn't like him. I'm watching a film that the technical side of it is very good and very great to watch, but the actual story and having to sit through the entire film is the exact opposite. It certainly makes it look like a demo reel, but I don't think it's the call to action to really get behind this director that he necessarily wants, and it gives the signal that I kind of think, to me, that I think he needs a little more time. Just because you want to be that kind of director doesn't really mean you are. So if you've seen The Signal and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.